Hello, guys. Hello, Ragai. I'm not, I'm, I was going to say I'm not too bad, but I'm actually very ill at the moment. So I'm not going to be sticking around for too long today. I must admit, I'm going to be doing probably just half an hour. Um, yeah, not been feeling it too good today, to be honest. Um, but I hope you are well. Cheers, Ragai. I appreciate that. Afternoon, Vincent. Yeah, so in this, I'm just going to go over. We've had a bit of data drops. So I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over some of the charts that we talked about getting involved with this week. They actually performed really, really well, I must admit. I ended up taking a few positions. So I think on Tuesday we talked about shorting gold. So I shorted gold. That turned out really well. Bought a dollar CAD. As we can see, we were looking for breaches above 134, and I bought into dollar CAD. So yeah, we're just going to discuss a few of these markets and yeah, see where they kind of went to and how they performed. Euro yen was another one that was on my list to go long in and actually performed probably the best out of all the markets that I discussed this week, and I didn't actually get in on any move here. So unfortunate for me, I didn't get really any kind of pullback on Tuesday on Euro yen. We were looking at sort of longs in and around this area here, and I said, if price can find some support, and you can actually see my alert is still placed on the screen. So I missed my alert going off. Ideally, I would have seen a move into that alert and then the higher close entry. So I would have gone in long somewhere around here. Obviously, it might not have been there, but just looking back, potentially there. Stops below the lows, and we could have looked for that move up towards that one sort of 61 spot 50 area, which is where we were expecting the market to come into. That's basically this zone that formed from this low that formed back on the 21st of November. So this was a really nice market to watch. So if you did watch this one this week, this was almost, like I'd say, the sort of perfect market to look at for opportunities. And yeah, unfortunately for me, I missed out on my alert by just a couple of pips. Really, weren't anything dramatic there. Another one we quite liked was pound yen long as well. This was another market I liked, up into high volume at 187 spot 15. Again, another nice, strong performing market here. Again, didn't actually get on the back of anything here. I was very much similar watching this kind of area on Tuesday, looking for any kind of breaches below that area and a close above essentially. And obviously we did the live stream around this sort of time when price was already kind of breaking higher. So yeah, unfortunately, didn't manage to actually get long this market either. But a couple of markets I did was dollar CAD long, gold short. So we'll go jump on those in a minute. But again, very strong performing currency pairs. If we're going to see this potential continuation here, we could potentially look at a trend idea long here in terms of, if price is making a new higher high, can that previous high act as support going forward? So maybe a move back towards 186 would be something to look out for opportunities towards this 188, unless we kind of reach this 188, which looks obviously very likely first. So I think if we jump back into 188 there, we could see a little bit of a rejection here. It'll be interesting to see how price reacts above 188. Do we see strong sellers coming in, or do we see a break of that, which would be quite interesting going forward? But yeah, we've hit that high volume level now, so not really worried about anything there. I think I'm looking for, if anything, moves back towards this recent breakout high. Hi, hope you're doing well, mate. For anybody in the chat, is our analyst from Indonesia. So jump over to our Indonesian channel if you wish. Give some support. But yeah, nice move into 188. I think there could be a potential for that rally into there. Definitely. I'll be looking at your 4-hour time frame as well. Obviously, I can see if I just zoom in here, price has obviously paused at this moment, and price is back there now. So maybe if you're looking for a bit of a scalp in the market, this could be a nice sort of one to look for with a move back in towards key swing highs. The way I'd kind of play this, if I was just to put a sort of level in there. So it is a 4-hour level. So ideally you want to see sort of either a higher high, higher close on the hourly chart, or if you go a little bit lower, you can get a little bit more aggressive. If I went into sort of a 15-minute time frame and I saw price kind of making a new higher high here, it could be a good idea for opportunities. Obviously, what you don't want to see is price kind of trade below this point. Otherwise, we're probably going to test these lows down here. So that would be the one thing I would say. So see how price reacts there. If you do get some kind of strong bullish close, maybe even a close above the 50 MA, would be the catalyst to potentially drive price up towards that 188 handle. But yeah, like I said, pound yen was one of those to watch going into this week, and it's performed pretty well. Let's go on to dollar CAD then. So like I said, I did get a long dollar CAD this week. I basically talked about the breaches above 134, and we talked about the volumes in the market. So obviously a lot of volume up here around about 136, which was ultimately where I would like to target on dollar CAD. We've breached that 134 level, which was a previous area of resistance. So, if we do stall here and we do start to see a pullback on this daily time frame, then maybe 134.25 could be an area of support for price to try and trade up to 136. I've been watching the 4-hour time frame here and looking for opportunities. I can see we've got obviously a bullish close in there. I did actually add a short-term long position into here. I ended up taking it off the table ahead of the news. So yeah, if I just bring in the charts here. So you can see the trade tracker basically ended up going in long at this point. Price came all the way to the low, which I didn't really anticipate, but that would have been a really good area to get long as well. And I ended up coming out just before the news. Didn't know which way the unemployment data was going to go, really. We've had a bit of choppiness in terms of the unemployment rate recently. If I just come down here, you can see unemployment claims in the US 187, so quite a significant drop considering the fact that we're expected to see a move up to 206. So that's obviously going to give the dollar a lot of strength at the moment, or you'd think it'd give the dollar a lot of strength. Dollar index trading back up at the 103.50 level of resistance as well. So yeah, I think we've had a pretty decent week in terms of looking at the sort of picture for the dollar. The idea of longs above 102.75 have paid off pretty well for us, and now we're at 103.50 resistance. If we can trade through that, the potential next resistance level is here at this 104.20. So perhaps if we do get above that and do get a good close above, then this is the sort of next level to kind of keep your eyes on in terms of the US dollar index. I think a key level would be a break above this 104.50 handle in here. Reason being, again, we've got sort of higher volume being traded here, period of low volume, and then obviously volumes have come back in at this point. So I think if we were to trade above 104.50, that would be quite significant, seeing potential longs up into the 105.50. So I'd be definitely keeping an eye on anything that could potentially form there as well. So yeah, keep an eye on your sort of US dollar at the moment. Like I said, though, I did like the idea of shorting gold this week. To be honest, Still quite like the idea of being short gold. The price action here is quite interesting. So we've obviously breached this level of resistance, which is, or support, sorry, that $2019.25 change sort of level. And this is the area I was ultimately looking to target. Again, we've got volumes being built. Okay. We then have low volume. So low volume periods come in these kind of extended areas there, where the market moves very quickly between those points. So we've then got that coming through. Price has then found support. So this is why I said the 2019 area is going to be really significant. It did act as a strong support point. But when we broke that $2,040 area, that's when I really thought that maybe we're going to come back to the 2019, perhaps even, continue to the downside. Obviously, we don't know the future, so we can't really predict how it will react until it does, potentially break through the support. So obviously, I was short in and around here. The market then's obviously continued to sort of drive lower at that point. And I think we actually talked about that one in the live stream on Tuesday. And we've continued through. I do quite like this sort of price action that's developing here, though. We've got obviously aggressive sellers coming in, and the pullback here at the moment is not really, I'd say, telling of strong buying coming back into the market. Okay, so I do like the idea of that. Let's go and have a little look at our lower time frame here. I would like to see some kind of pullback, maybe. I would like to see potentially that low tested. Whether it does or not, I don't know. We may not even get there. It may just reject here and start pushing back to the downside from a lower time frame point of view. But I like the fact that we've got the 50 MA coming through there as well. So, me, I do quite like the idea of price rejecting that sort of dynamic resistance area. So I think if we can try and push these highs that have been formed recently before the data dropped, and then we sort of reject that low, that would be an ideal. So when I say ideal, that would be sort of, I'll be watching that quite, diligently. Whether that comes off, though, is a different sort of question here. What we're probably going to have to look at, if you want to look at this, is how price reacts on the 30-minute time frame. I can see maybe that we're starting to sort of create this almost consolidation in here. If price tries to log again to try and get there, create the lower low, lower close entry for us, then perhaps there could be something here for us to kind of anticipate at that point. Let's just grab in here. It's that kind of flag pattern in a way, isn't it? But yeah, I agree, right, Guy. The gold pullback looks really weak. Yeah, I agree with that. So I do quite like the opportunity there again. So I have to wait and see how price reacts in here. Whether I'll go in on a lower time frame, I'm not too sure yet. I do quite like the idea that obviously price is coming back to test that sort of low that had been broken. So it's kind of filled that void in a way. So maybe we are going to start to see sort of selling pressure coming here again. Stops and targets for me, if I was looking at this, let's say I was looking to kind of get short on another little bit of a pullback there. Safe stops are pretty much above that previous high, and then targets down there. So two R's, not too bad on a move like this. Obviously, depending on how aggressive you are as a trader and how comfortable you are in a potential position, then you could go in a little bit tighter. So let's say you've got that 2019 area as a point of interest. That to me would be a lot better in terms of risk reward, but also you can afford to have your stop loss just a little bit higher, just to give it a little bit more breathing room. That's why I always say that you've got kind of two zones. You've got your ideal trading zone, and then you've got the one where sometimes you just got to get in. Okay, sometimes you just got to get in, and that to me is the ideal. I'll be watching the price action here. If it just kind of gives me the idea that we're not going to see that pullback, then sometimes, like I said, you just got to get in and try and identify whether you are in that sort of right direction. The other way I like to do some position trading is, if I feel comfortable with kind of putting a position on at current prices, I'll just go in at half my usual risk, and I'll go in half risk in here, because what will happen, or what you'd like to happen, is if you're in this at half risk and obviously price goes away, you're still going to benefit from being in that potential position. But if it does then pull back, you've still got another sort of 0.5% to work with for another opportunity if it does present itself. And if it doesn't and price just spikes through here, well, then you're only down 0.5. So I do quite often like to put in 2 positions in the market, put in a position where I just think, yeah, I got to get in, but making sure that that is at a reduced risk. So even if you don't want to go full whack, you know, in terms of 0.5%, you can put in like a 0.25% move, just so you've got some skin in the game, just in case it does go off. So sometimes I like to do that. You know me as well. I like to see price hugging that 50 MA, closing below it and whatnot. So, you know, that is fairly ideal for me. But I just looking at the 4-hour time frame, I think that kind of speaks volumes of what's happening with gold here at the moment. Very strong selling pressure. Pullbacks have been very weak. We know there's large volume down here. I know that because if we put on the volume profile, again, this is not as good as using futures data, but you can see around about that 1982 is a really strong level of volume. So price likes to move between different volume areas, in my opinion, anyway. So I think that because we've broken through this low volume point, price can try and move to the other side of where volume is. So that's the way I kind of look at my trading. I kind of picture where the volume could be and then look for those opportunities. That's why I went dollar CAD long, essentially. Like I said before, there's obviously low volume within this area, higher volume up here. That's why I like to longs above 134, because to me, if price was going to pull back, this is the zone. I'll just put it down a little bit because ideally it's actually this zone. You can see I've got an alert at 135.50. That zone in there is ideal. Again, I'm using the fixed range tool on volume and trading view here, but like I said, you can get volume data if you're not using trading view. Sometimes you got to pay for it, but well, you have to pay for it with trading view, to be honest. So yeah, but that's where I'm expecting sort of dollar CAD to come into. Again, look at that period of low volume here. We've broken above that now. Price surges to the next sort of area of volume, and we are stalling where that kind of edge of a ledge is. The edge of the ledge essentially is almost the sort of start of where the volume starts to pick up. So where you get the curve, the bell curve that you typically see on the bottom of the screen. So if I was to put volumes down here, you'd see strong bell curve there, essentially low volume, a little bit of a curve there, maybe big curve here, something like that. Volume profile is essentially just putting it into a vertical format. And yeah, like I said, where that volume starts to pick up, that can be an area of interest, okay, and an area for sort of people to target. So yeah, like I said, dollar CAD was one to watch this week. It was pretty good for us. Again, gold shorts, I quite like the look of. Let's go take a look at some of the stock markets. They've started to perform a little bit well again, apart from sort of we're looking at the Dow here, and I did do a video on would the Dow sort of crash. It was a bit of clickbaity, to be honest, in terms of I don't think the stock market will crash. It's just that the commercials are showing a very strong short position on the Dow, the highest it's been since 2020. It needs to breach this low, though. Again, thinking volume. Volume is down here. We know it's volume down here because price is consolidated. The breakout is a period of low volume. This area here, there is lots of volume being built, okay? So one or two things is going to happen. Price is going to go and remain within volume, which is why we get the range, or it's going to go and seek new value, whether that be breaking higher or whether that be breaking lower, heading to the next level, okay? So that's what I'm kind of thinking here with the Dow in terms of you got your COP reports saying that it's the sort of largest selling since 2020, and we've got the opportunity for price. Now it's made kind of new highs around 38K. Is it going to recover a little bit? Is price going to fall? Raheel, sorry, let me just Take a sip of this. My question on the over-the-counter market, that seems there's no real volume, so how can we rely on these volumes indicators? Like I said, for me, if you're going to use volume, it's better to do it on the futures market because it comes from one place, and you can get futures market on TradingView, but you get what's called delayed data. So it's delayed by 10 minutes. So if you are not somebody that uses volume as a day trading sort of indicator, then you can use the sort of volume profile. And I have said this in the past before, use it very loosely. I kind of look at, if you're going to use it with regards to sort of the Forex markets, use it loosely in terms of where you kind of see the peaks come into the market, rather than kind of, you know, nailing specific points, unless you are using futures data, because I think the futures data is worth kind of having a look at. So if you go into here, so here I've got the Euro futures on the market at the moment, and you can see up the top it just says there's like a D, so it says market open but data is delayed. So like I said, it's a 10-minute delay, but you can get futures data. If you want to put your volumes on here instead, they'll be a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit more accurate. Okay. Let's have a quick look at Palladium, because this is one we're watching. It's dipped lower though. Vincent, can we take a look at Pound Aussie, please? Yeah, absolutely. Tell us something about open interest, how open interest works in the markets. Open interest. So are you talking about open interest in terms of sort of the stock calculator, or are you talking about open interest in terms of just volume? Let's go over to Pound Aussie first. Let's answer Vincent. What are you looking to do on Pound Aussie, Vincent? Looks like we're trying to trade through these swing highs in here. Looks like we've actually come in and tested that sort of area of resistance again. Just through that sort of downward move there was a little bit of pocket of volume in this area here. Low volume area. Oh, sorry, open interest in the CME as it open shows open positions in the market. Yeah, so you can actually go to the CME website. And you can get loads of stuff here. So we tend to look at the target rates on the Fed meetings. The Fed Watch tool is a good tool to have. If you go over to data as well, you can look at real-time data within the market. Okay, interest rates, equity, energies, agriculture. CME is actually a really good place to go to. If you go, let me go to the home page here. If you're looking for just general sort of knowledge on the markets as well, the CME is a really good place to start. I've actually got the app. The app's really good. We go on the app. Hi, Chris. Yeah, so if we go to markets, let's say we go to FX. So you got volume, you've got change. The way I would look at open interest essentially is if a particular market has a higher open interest, it just means that it's probably a little bit more volatile. I'm trying to find that area. I haven't been on the CME website for a good while. I've only been on the app. Oh, here we go. Volume and open interest. Sorry, the page cannot be found. What? Why are we not getting that? Someone else might have to check that for me. Why are we not getting the open interest area here anymore? Volume and open interest. Maybe something's gone wrong on the page. I would show you, but maybe you'll have to check in for yourselves at that point. Vincent, you're looking for longs, pound Aussie. I mean, I'm not against longs pound Aussie, I don't think. I like the idea of the potential for obviously the Bank of England to sort of hold. You've got CPI data out of the UK actually came in above expectations as well. So there's a good idea that the Bank of England will not rush to cut any rates. Again, this is the game that the market is playing at the moment, isn't it? It's who's going to cut rates, who's going to try and cut rates first. I don't think we are going to see any central bank rate cuts until at least the end of the year. There was obviously some pricing in March. The data then comes out. So you've got that unemployment data out of the US today. That's obviously going to put a dampener on anything that the Fed want to do, especially in terms of they want to see that obviously employment rate continue to stay at sort of certain levels. They don't really want to see it decreasing sort of dramatically. So, yeah, I mean, that's the sort of game we're playing at the moment. I don't think the Bank of England are going to move anytime soon. Although, looking at this, we've come into that 1.94 handle and we have rejected. I'd be a little bit cautious about getting long. The only reason why is because we've moved such a long way. And in terms of yesterday, we probably beat our average move by quite a bit. That's 235. Don't think we usually see kind of moves of 235 that often. So that's 220. I'm trying to look at the big candles there. 214. So typically after a massive sort of, say massive, but a breach of that sort of daily ATR range, then there can be often a day of just kind of pullback consolidation. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, it depends if the market forms a base, okay? And I always kind of talk about the market finding a base. You know, if the market's pushing higher, you get like an initial rally and then price comes back in and starts to slow down, starts to fail again, then that's the market saying to me that we're creating a base. Could this be a start of a sort of base here? If the market rallies, comes back, starts to find some support again, then yeah, maybe it's a good idea to look at that. I'm looking at that and thinking there's definitely going to be some volume here, okay? And then we've obviously sort of peeled out a little bit and then rallied a little bit. So breaks below 193, I think we'd see that pull back towards the 191 handle. But yeah, I do quite like the idea of price coming up to 194.50. Let's go back to that daily chart. It's obviously that volume area through there. We only just kind of tested in it before seeing a bit of a drop though. So, and then again, we have to think of our cross pairs. So what are we actually trading here? Okay, we're trading the pound versus the dollar versus the Australian dollar versus the US dollar. So what do you want to achieve when you go long in a market like this? You want to see cable going long. You want to see Aussie US dollar moving short. That's what creates that price move in here. Okay, now if I was to just erase that arrow and we go over to those individual markets, so let's go over to cable first. Do I think cable's looking like it's bullish? Well, it's making higher highs, higher lows. it's actually in a bit more of a sort of daily range between that sort of 126, 128 level. So in theory, we're in a range. Could price come back up to the high of the range? Absolutely. You know, there's no reason why it can't do that. If anything, you are at support. Okay, now what you don't want to see really is the same from the Australian dollar. Okay, you don't want to see it at support. Okay, you want to see it kind of either at resistance or somewhere else. And look, it's at support. Okay, it's at the daily support in there. So the reason why I say that is because what would that mean for us if one's at support and the other's at the support? Okay, well, it could mean that both markets are going to stall at the support level, which means that pound Aussie essentially could begin to range, or it could just begin to sort of float a little bit. If we get a break below and close below here with pound dollar staying above the support, then yeah, I think pound Aussie could trade to the upside. My fear is this obviously in here. Have we had that China data yet, actually? There was some China data coming in, wasn't it? Oh, that was Wednesday. So China data actually came in pretty okay, but we didn't see the sort of effects. Oh, actually, GDP. And I've just spilled my drink all down myself. Nice. My brain is really not working today, Bino. I'm actually sweating. But yeah, China data actually came in a little bit lower than expected. Recovery in China hasn't been great. That's obviously going to have a knock-on effect on the Australian dollar as well, a negative effect. So Aussie is under pressure. Okay, Aussie is under pressure. So I'm not against that pound Aussie long, to be fair. It's just, you know, when we're trading those cross pairs, just have a little flick over to your major currency pairs, see where they're kind of positioned. You know, if let's say, if we have a little look at why pound Aussie's moved, essentially, the Australian dollar found resistance here. Okay, so I was to put vertical lines on. We found resistance here. This is actually where we went short, but we found resistance on the 28th of December. If I go to cable and we have a look at the 28th of December on cable, you know, let's see what it did. So 28th of December. So we are at resistance as well. Okay. The only thing here is obviously we've pulled back to support and was a little bit bullish. So that's the 3rd of January. So 3rd of January is quite bearish here for the Australian dollar versus the US dollar, whereas cable is finding support on the 3rd of Jan. So if we go to pound Oz and look at where this rally kind of really goes from, look at the 3rd of January. It's this bullish candlestick here. Okay. And that's why I said when you're trading cross bears, you want to be looking at how is cable and the Australian dollar, you know, US dollar sort of trading at that particular time. Okay. It's a key reason why pound Aussie will move the way it does. If you're just looking at your cross pairs as one thing on a technical basis, that's great. But you just add this in and it can really change the way you trade your cross pairs. So yeah, I've just kind of proved that here. You've got pound finding support on the 3rd of January. Aussie US dollar is daily bearish, heading towards support levels. Okay, so it's bearish. Pound Aussie has been bullish on the 3rd of January and rallied higher. Okay. I just want to keep an eye on gold, actually. Not really doing much at the moment, gold. Right then, guys, we've been going for about 35 minutes. Like I said at the start, I'm not feeling very good today. Not very well at all. So I'm probably just going to call it quits there. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Sorry, I'm not at my sort of full strength, but yeah, we'll come back on Tuesday. Again, we'll go through some of those markets to take a look at. And yeah, we'll go from there. I hope you enjoyed all the content this week as well. And yeah, if you can go and give that support, that'd be great. And yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, please leave it a like. I really appreciate that. and I will catch you next week. Hope you all have a great weekend as well. And yeah, speak to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your trading week.